Today I want to talk to you guys really briefly about how not to get scammed when buying Opal. I've sold more than 50,000 parcels of Opal. I operate in this space all the time. And if you want to buy Opal online and not get scammed, it's actually really easy. There's just a couple of things you need to be mindful of. Now, number one is the easiest way not to get scammed when buying Opal is to buy from reputable sellers. If you take a minute to go and check sellers' feedback on like Opal auctions or eBay or Etsy, they're all going to have feedback. And as long as they have quite a bit of feedback and that feedback is positive, then you can read through and get a good feel for what it's going to be like to buy from those sellers. The only caveat there is make sure they've got quite a bit of feedback. I've seen pop-up stores on Etsy where people will get and self-populate their feedback with their friends, and they'll have 10 or 11 great reviews, and those pop-up stores are just going to be there to rip you off. So you want somebody with hundreds or thousands of reviews on Etsy. eBay is pretty good when it comes to that, but also there are pop-up stores there, so you want to find somebody who's got a lot. If they're on Opal auctions, they go through an extensive vetting process, so there's a lot less likelihood that somebody there is going to be trying to rip you off. Now, PayPal is your friend. That's number one, right? But what I've been seeing is that people will try to convince you to buy Opals with a friends and family on PayPal. Now, there's two different ways you can buy on PayPal for you guys that are not used to it. One of them is just goods and services, and one's are friends and family. When you're buying Opal on PayPal from somebody that you don't know really well, you should always use the goods and services. And that's because if they try to scam you, like I've been seeing, and they don't send you the Opals, you can say, hey, PayPal, I didn't get my Opals, or the Opals aren't as described, and PayPal will always back the buyer in that situation. In fact, they kind of act as a de facto escrow account, in that they will sometimes keep that money and not release it to the seller until that you've said, I've got my Opals and they are what they say they are. And what I've been seeing is that dodgy sellers or scammers are trying to convince you to buy with friends and family. Now, here is my number one tip for the day. If they do that, what you say is, I'd be happy to cover the fee, the PayPal fee, to process the transaction in the normal way. I do this all the time. It's like 3% that fee, so $3 per every $100. And I say, look, no worries, I'll process it as goods and services, and I will pay the extra $3. So if it's a $100 transaction, I pay them $103 to cover the cost as an insurance policy for me when I'm buying with somebody that I don't know. Now, at that point, if they're really dodgy and they don't plan on going ahead with the sale in a manner that's commercially sound, well, then they're going to make up some other excuse at that point. That's the telltale sign. If they make up some excuse whenever you offer to pay, well, then get away, run from that transaction, because they're trying to screw you, right? And that's it. There's almost no reason ever for somebody to say, oh no, I still want friends and family. Like, prove me wrong. I've never found another reason. If they try to convince you of that, this is not a transaction that you want. Now, if you're buying on Facebook, it's a little bit more tricky, but the community of people that sell on Facebook, that sell regularly, is actually really small. So all you really need to do is be a member of 2 or 3 of the biggest Opal groups. And before you process a transaction from X, jump on the group and say, hey, has anybody ever bought Opal from X? Please let me know your experience. You wait a day, and look, if there's no feedback, that's not really good, because that might mean that there's a pop-up seller. Somebody's got a bad reputation, creates a new account and tries to sell. Or somebody will say, they've had a really bad experience. Those are both too good for you. Those options are both good for you, because you understand maybe this isn't the kind of person you want to deal with. Now, there are people that sell, as one-offs on eBay and stuff like that, but all of those guys are going to come with a certain amount of risk, So what you want is, when you ask that question, people say, oh yeah, this guy is great. I've bought lots of Opal from him. Go ahead, proceed. It doesn't take you very long. It just takes a little bit of patience, but it can protect you, from getting scammed.